Hi, I'm Chloe. Welcome to my home. I decided to do something a little different with a Halloween table this year. I spotted these doll parts at Michael's and I picked them up and I used them on a swag, but now I'm going to show you how I'm going to use them on a tablescape. So I've had this moss runner for quite a while and I really like it. It's not just flat, it's quite textured. So that's going to be my runner, my table runner. And then I've also had these for quite a while, and I wish that I could get more. These came from Pier 1. I sure do miss Pier 1. And I'm going to use these for my placemats. I think that's what they are, is placemats or chargers, either or. And I'm going to be setting this table for 6 for a spooky Halloween dinner party. So now we've got kind of a woodsy theme going on here. And one of the things I really like to do is I like to contrast things. So I'm going all woodsy with these things, but I'm going to use good silver. This is silver that my mother passed down to me, and good crystal. I just like the contrast of that when using them together. So I'm going to go ahead and do my place settings around the table here. And I've decided that I'm going to serve this probably family style, so I am just going to go ahead and use one black dinner plate for each place setting. Kind of simple, a little different than what I often do. Usually I have quite a plate stack, but that's all we're going to do for this one. It's a simple black dinner plate. Might not be your favorite to eat at, a black plate, but that's what we're going to do. Okay, I'm going to come around on this side and go ahead and add that silver. You see how you have the rustic with the twig placemats, and then you've got fine silverware. It's really kind of fun. To finish out the place settings, I have recently treated myself, because I didn't have any really good crystal, to these beautiful glasses that I picked up at Replacements. If you are looking for something like that's really fine and old like these are, replacements.com, can't go wrong. There's just going to be a water and a wine for each place setting. And then our place settings will be done. Rather simple. And now we get to do the really fun part, the centerpiece. So again, I found some really great things. These are the doll heads that I found, and there were other doll parts too. And one of the other things that I found at Michael's were these really cool kind of swamp flowers and these mushrooms. So what I did is I'm just taking some driftwood, anything that you can find out in nature you could use. And I've taken these and bent them like so that I can tuck them underneath the wood. And I'm going to make a little like woodsy vignette. I'm just going to tuck these under here. So there's not really a lot of mechanics to doing this. And I knew I'd have problems with these standing up. So I got some little dollar store succulents that I'm just tucking right in there. So let's see what else. I've got a purple mushroom. We'll put that one down here. But if you just bend these, see, you'll be able to use these again for whatever you would like. And I've got some artificial fern, so it looks a little more like you came across this in the woods. And again, if it doesn't want to stand up real well, just take a heavier flower like this one is, that succulent and tuck it right in there. Just a little more greenery. So really what I'm doing is making 3 centerpieces down the middle of this. So I want the greenery to kind of tie them together. You could leave this just like this and do a fall arrangement or a woodsy tablescape, but I'm going to give it a little bit of a Halloween bent to it, and I'm going to tuck some of these creepy doll parts right in here. We've got a leg and a head and a couple of arms. I'm just going to tuck those right in, and that certainly gives it a little bit of the creepy feeling. So next, I'm going to do the one for the center of the table. I'm going to start with this bigger piece. Decide how I want it. Like I said, anything that you find out in nature you could use. You can even use fresh flowers that you find out and cuttings of leaves and things that you find outside to style this if you wanted. But I wanted to do this early, so I have gone ahead and started now. And you see how bending that stem just like that, you don't have to have any styrofoam or floral foam or anything to make these things stand up. You just tuck them underneath your wood there. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the fern again. And see how I'm using that to kind of tie the centerpieces together. And I'm going to add a few more pieces of wood. Like I said, this is something you could go out and gather the items for. You don't have to buy a lot of things to put this together. Maybe I want this one down this way. Again, so that you're kind of all tying them together. And I've got a big burgundy succulent to put in there. And then we can't forget our creepy doll parts. I mean, really, what would you think if you came across something like this in the woods? Pretty gross, huh? I don't know where dolls got their bad reputation, but they really did. I'm going to tuck one more of these. Of course, this will be the one that won't go in for me because I said, oh, I'm going to add one more. See what I mean? Yeah. Okay, and I've got a couple more succulents, so I'm going to tuck one right there to make sure that swamp flower doesn't fall over. And we've got to finish up this end of the table. Again, I just happened to have some driftwood. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, tucking those flowers right and the mushrooms right underneath the wood. See, that one's going to fall over until I get a succulent in there to make sure I stand it up. So that's just one of those little cheats that you don't have to tell anybody until they go and try and move them at the dinner party. Then you're in trouble, aren't you? Okay. And with the pieces of wood, the mushrooms make it look like it's really growing on these spent pieces of wood. See, there's another one of my swamp flowers fallen over that needs a little help. And the succulents, just the perfect thing because they add a little bit of weight. Oops. See, you're going to have to fool around with these just a little bit, just like I am. So I'm going to prop this one up. And another one right here. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and add some more of our kind of creepy greenery, I call it, and the ferns. And these are all just artificial. I want this to go up here on top of the logs a little bit. And one more, again, to connect the centerpieces to each other. And we're just going to add our creepy doll parts. We'll put this one right here. It's going to stare at you while you're eating. Oh, right there. And there we go. Now, I wanted something really creative for place cards. So what I did is I just took some of the doll heads and I took a permanent marker and wrote the names right on them. So that is going to greet my guests when they sit down at the table. And of course, for a spooky table like this, you've got to have candles. So I'm just going to tuck some votives on my runner, being very careful that they're not going to burn the artificial greenery. And then we're going to light them. And those will add a really nice glow to our table. And now it's going to be time to turn out the lights and serve the food, pour some wine, and everybody's going to have a great time. So I hope you like this idea for a kind of a spooky forest Halloween tablescape. And maybe this is something you want to try this year. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming into my home, and I'll see you again right here.